Welcome. So today is the sixth lecture for Quant's foundation class. Today we are going to do percentage, right? Percentage is again a very interesting and a very important topic. Now, when you talk about percentage, you might not find a lot of questions directly that is asked based on percentage, but lot of questions you'll do will have some or the other applications, right? Probably in the last when you're calculating or somewhere in between making an equation, but there will definitely be a lot of questions where the application of percentage will definitely be there, right? So in this, what we're going to look into is we're going to look into the definition. Then we are going to look into percentage change. What do we mean by percentage change? What is the formula? Then we're going to look at something called the multiplying factor, which is a very important thing to understand, right? And lastly, we'll look into a something called successive percentage change, right? So this is the agenda for this session. This is what we're going to learn, right? So let's start with the definition part. So when we say percent, understand what does this word mean, right? Let's break it into its root words. We have per and we have cent, right? Cent, if you remember, in century, right? In century, what does cent mean? When you say century, a century is 100 years, right? So cent is nothing but 100, right? What is the meaning of cent? Cent, the root word is 100. There are 100 cents in a dollar, so that's cent, right? And per simply means per 100, that's divided by. So percent, which is denoted by this sign, is actually equal to simply 1 by 100. Per 100, that is what it means. And when we say of, what does that mean? When we say of means basically multiplication, right? The meaning of is nothing but multiplying, right? So when we say, now when we say a percent of B, right? When we say a percent of B, what do we exactly mean here? That means A by 100 into B, correct? Percent is 1 by 100, so A by 100, of is multiplication into B, right? Same way, when we say B percent of A, what would that mean? That would mean B by 100 into A. So from here, what do you learn? Check. What do you exactly learn from here is that A percent of B is equal to B percent of A, right? A percent of B is equal to B percent of A, irrespective of the values of A and B, right? To take an example, if I take some ugly values, 79% of 51 would be equal to 51% of 79, both equaling to 51 into 79 by 100, right? So irrespective of the values of A or B, A percent of B will always be equal to B percent of A, right? Okay, now here there's an important thing. What we call it is percentage to fraction equivalent, and vice versa, fraction to percentage equivalent. You should always remember this, right? It is important that you remember this, right? So what do we mean by that? For example, a 1 by 2 is a 50%, a 1 by 3 is a 33.33%, right? So on it goes. So you should at least remember from 1 by 2 till 1 by 20, right? From 1 by 2 to 1 by 20, you should remember all the percentage equivalent of fractions and fraction equivalent of percentage, right? A 1 by 2, you should know it's a 50% in percentage. A 50% in fraction in percentage, you should know is 1 by 2 in fractions. Some of them are quite easy, but some of them are quite tedious. So you should remember this. For example, a 1 by 9 is a 11.11%. It goes on, right? So what I expect you is that you should remember till 1 by 20, which is 1.05%, right? This should be on your fingertips. These equivalents, percentage to fraction and fraction to percentage, this should be on your fingertips. It will help you a lot, right? Same way, there's one more. You can call it a homework. So you should remember, you should learn squares, cubes, and tables from 1 to 30. This is the second part. These two, you can take it as a homework, but these two should be on your fingertips, right? Percentage to fraction, fraction to equivalent, percentage equivalent from 1 by 2 to 1 by 20. Second is squares, cubes, and tables from 1 to 30. Squares of all the numbers from 1 to 30, cubes of all the numbers from 1 to 30, and tables from 1 to 30. This much should be on your fingertips. It will help you a lot. See, CAT has given you calculators, but other exams have not given you calculators, right? So take it as a necessity, right? Don't take it as a facilitator, right? Because then what happens is, even when we get so much used to it that a 2 into 5 also goes on a calculator, which is not a good thing, right? So use it as a necessity, right? Whenever it is necessary, that is where I'm going to use it. Correct? All right, so let's do some questions next before we go forward. Then we'll come back to some other things that we've discussed about. All right. So this is the first question. In a class of 60 students, 20% are male, 75% of the female students passed an exam conducted for the whole class. What is the number of female students who passed the exam, right? So if I have to solve it, how do I solve it? Let's see. We'll just go by the information given to us. There are 60 students. So now 20% are males. That means there are 12 males, and that means there are 48 females. 75% of the female students passed an exam. Now out of the 75%, now what is the fractional equivalent of 75%? 3 by 4. Right? 25% is a 1 by 4, 75% is a 3 by 4. Right? So out of this, 3 by 4 of this is 36. So 36 female have passed an exam conducted for the whole class. That means 12 females have failed. Now, what have they asked us? They've asked what is the number of female students who passed the exam. So what is my answer here? My answer is simply 36, right? Very basic question just to give you an understanding. How does percentage work? So the number of female students who passed the exam is 36. Clear? Okay, let's take up the next question then. Okay, what is the approximate value of, this is a hyphen here, this is not a minus, this is a hyphen here. So they're asking you the value for 33.33% of 99 plus 81.81% of 495, right? Now here we will need this information as through fractional equivalent of percentage, right? This is a good example. So 33.33% we know is nothing but 1 by 3. For 81.81%, you first have to understand or know that 9.09% is 1 by 11, right? So once you remember that, okay, 9.09 is 1 by 11, 81.81 looks like 9 times of this, right? So 81.81% is nothing but 9 times of 9.09%. So therefore a 1 by 11 here, sorry, 81.81% here, this value will actually be a 9 by 11. Now it's easy, right? So what are we calculating is 1 by 3 into 99 plus 9 by 11 into 495. We have done bottomers. We know that addition will come later, multiplication has to be done before. So this would be 33. 495 by 11, when I do, that will give me a 450. Sorry, 45, my bad. That will give me 45. So how much do I have? 33 from here plus 45 into 9 is a 405. So this in total gives me a 438. Right? Please check. 438 is what it gives me. Right? All right. Let's go to the next question now. Right. Okay, now for this question, they've asked you what is the percentage increase. So this is where we learn this. whenever they're asking you a percentage change wherein two values are given, right? They've given you two values and they're asking you what is the percentage change from one value to the other. So what is the formula? This is the formula that we always use without exception. Final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. And this is a very common formula that you use when it comes to data interpretation, your DI part. Therein, a lot of times they'll ask you percentage change, right? And you will have to calculate it this way. How will they? A classic example is they'll give you data for a couple of years, right? Let's say production of rice. Production of rice in 2009 was this much. 2010 was how much? I mean, was this much? What is the percentage change? So what do? Final year would be 2010. Initial year would be 2009, and that is how you solve it. So this is my formula always. Find percentage change. Final value minus initial value upon initial value into 100. Right, what you have to do here is, what is the challenge here is, you have to figure out which one is my final value in the question, which one is my initial value in the question. Have they given you years, it is okay. Otherwise you have to see what is being compared to. Whatever it is being compared to will always be your initial value. Always remember this. Whatever it is being compared to, that would be your initial value, right? Always remember this. What is my base of comparison? If I'm comparing A with respect to B, so A is being compared to B, so B will be my initial value, right? So whatever is my base, whatever I'm comparing to would always be the initial value if it is not directly given. Here it is directly given. Production of increases from 50 to 70. What is the percentage increase? So my final value is 70. My initial value is 50 upon 50 into 100. This gives me 20 by 50 into 100. This will get cancelled. So the net change is 40%, right? There's a percent outside here. Final value upon initial value minus initial value upon initial value into 100%, right? Because it will come in percentage, right? So percentage change is 40%, right? Okay, next question. Right. Now see the example that we were discussing. If A's salary is 20% more than B, then B's salary is what percentage less than A's salary, right? So here, if you see, we are comparing B with respect to A. So my initial value here should be A, right? It should be very clear here. The initial value has to be A. The final value has to be B, because I'm comparing B with respect to A. So I'm comparing with reference to A's salary. So the in this term time, the initial value would be A, the final value would be B. Now they've said A's salary is 20% more than B's salary. How do we do it? So there's one tip here, which is very important when it comes to percentage. When everything is given in percentage, you can always assume a value, right? It's a good idea to do it. Questions can be really easy, right? Assume a value, but the only thing is everything should be given in percentage. Then only you can assume it, right? This is important. We will discuss this about assumptions in your first foundation class of DI. So, you know, right now, if you want, you can go back to the first foundation class of DI and see what we were discussing here about assumptions of values and all, and percentage values and all. That will help you. So when we talk about assumption, so assume a value. Now the challenge is what value to assume and which variable to assume. So see this, A's salary is 20% more than B's salary, right? So if I assume B is equal to 100, or let's say if you want to assume A is equal to 100, right? Let's say you think of, okay, let me assume A is 100. Now A's salary is 20% more than B's salary. So in this case, you will struggle a little finding B's salary in this terms, right? So this is not a good idea. Instead of that, what I'll do is I'll assume B's salary to be 100. Now they've said A's salary is 20% more. So A's salary will become 120. Why? Because it is 20% more. So it would be basically 100 plus 20% more is 20 more. So that would be 100 plus 20. So it will become 120. This is easier, right? A's salary is 20% more than B's salary. So this one is easier compared to this, right? So what do you understand? Again, whichever with respect to is given, whatever is my base, assume that as the value, right? Always assume that where the base is there. A's salary is 20% more or something less, that will come by calculation. Always assume the base value. So they have told A's salary with respect to B's salary, so assume B's salary, right? Don't get confused in both of this. One concept is whatever we are discussing with respect to, that is my initial value in the question. In the question, whatever they've asked me, whatever they've asked with respect to, whatever I'm comparing to, that would be my initial value. The other one would be my final value. That is one concept. Second concept is the data that is given. In that, whatever is my base, that I'll always assume whenever I'm planning to assume. I'll assume the base. Everything else, what is related to that in terms of percentage change, that will come by calculation, right? So that is the example we took. I thought of taking A as 100, but in that case, if I calculate B, it will be difficult for me. Whereas if I assume B as 100, now A salary is 20% more, so A will be simply 120 because it is 20% more. This is easier, no, compared to this one. Now apply the formula. So what do we have? Final value is B, so 100 minus initial value, so 120 upon initial value, so 120 into 100. How much does this give you? 20 by 120 into 100, which is 100 by 6. Or we can further simplify it and make it what? 50 by 3, right? 50 by 3 would be how much? 16. 16 3 is 48. We are left with a 2, so 16.66%. So now understand this: A's salary is 20% more than B's salary, but that doesn't mean B's salary is 20% less than A's salary. No, B's salary is 16.66% less than A's salary. These values are not equal, and these values will never be equal, right? We'll do this in detail in a later part, but right now just understand that these values will never be equal. If A's salary is 20% more than B, B's salary will never be 20% less than A. It will always be a different value. So B's salary is 16.66% less than A's salary. Are we clear? All right. Okay, now let's go back to our whiteboard. Let's learn some theory. Percentage we have done. Now we'll discuss multiplying factor, which is very, very important. Multiplying factor, when we talk about, it will not only be used in percentages as a chapter. It has a lot of usage, right? We'll use this in profit and loss, compound interest, simple interest, even speed, time, and distance. A lot of places we'll use, right? And it's easy, but be very, very careful, you know, to understand it properly. So now let's understand from here. If they ask you what is A increases by, first of all, let's understand this concept. A increases by 200%. That is one sentence you might find. Other you might find is A increases to 200%, right? What I want you to think about it, are these the same value or different values, right? This is a one time when you can, you know, pause the video. Like I've told you before, whenever I pose a question in front of you, pause the video right then and there, right? Forced pause and think what was the question. Probably rewind and again listen to the question, but pause then and there and give it a thought, right? If you don't pause and you just continue it, you will never be giving thoughts to questions. When you give thoughts, that is where you learn. So you know, this is important that you pause and you think about it. So now these two are different values, right? When we say buy is transactional. Buy is transactional, right? To, on the other hand, is terminal. Now, what do we mean by that? Transactional means whatever is the variable here, you have to do this transaction with the variable. My variable was A, it increased by 200%. That means you have to add this 200% to A. That is what is transactional. You have to do this transaction with the variable. 2 is terminal. What does that mean? That whatever is there in after 2, that is the value that my variable will attain. There is no transaction here. We will simply attain 200%. But before we'll go there, the question is 200% of what? 200% of what? Fine, A increased by 200%, but of what? A increased to 200% of what? So it is nothing but 200% of A only. So this is a transaction I said. So A, because it is increasing, so A plus 200% means 200 by 100 of A itself, that means into A. What will this give you? A plus 2A, which is 3A. So if A increases by 200%, it would be A plus 2A, which is 3A. A increases to 200%, that is simply become 2A. The calculation is simply 200 by 100 into A. That will simply give you 2A. So this is terminal. It will simply take this value 2A. This is transactional. So you did this transaction, you added it. There might be a decrease. If there was a decrease, you will subtract it. But this transaction you need to do. Correct? So I hope we're clear with this. Now let's go forward and understand what exactly is multiplying factor. So let's take some more examples here. Let's say A increases by 10%. So what would be my value here when A increases by 10%? It would be A plus 10 by 100 of A, which is into A. This, if you solve, will give you 1.1 A. This 1.1 here is the multiplying factor that we are talking about. Right? This 1.1 is the multiplying factor that we are talking about. So what does the multiplying factor do? Multiplying factor takes care of the percentage increase or decrease in the variable. So in any question, whenever there's a percentage increase or decrease in the variable, we can take that into account by putting a multiplying factor. For example, here when A increased by 10%, I'm putting a multiplying factor of 1.1 with it. So that takes care of that 10% increase into A, right? So calculation wise, my question is correct now because I've taken into account that 10% increase. So that is what the multiplying factor does, right? I'll clear the board, then we'll do some more in detail understanding of multiplying factor. So now let's understand if A increases by 20%, how much will that be equal to? A plus 20 by 100 into A. This will give you a 1.2. If A increases by a simple 7%, how much will that be? A plus 7 by 100 of A. Now 7 by 100 would be a 0.07. It won't be a 0.7. That would be 1.07 of A, right? Same way we can also have decrease, right? Let's say if A decreases by 10%. Now what will that be? Check. It would be A minus 10 by 100 of A. This would be a 0.1. That would be A minus 0.1 of A. That would be 0.9 of A. Same way, if A decreases by, let's say 91%, that would be A minus 91 by 100 of A. That would be A minus 0.91 A. That would be 0.09 A. Correct? So depending on the percentage increase or decrease, we can find out the multiplying factor. So what you have to do is you have to practice it so well that this comes orally to you, right? Whatever variable change they have given, I just read it and I directly get onto, okay, this would be the multiplying factor. This should come like orally within 2 seconds, right? Now there's one inference that you can draw from here. If you see multiplying factor, if it is greater than 1, that means your variable has increased. And multiplying factor, if it is less than 1, that means your variable has decreased, and vice versa, right? So first thing was, whenever your multiplying factor is greater than 1, that means your variable has increased. Whenever your variable multiplying factor is less than 1, that means that your variable has decreased. Correct? Vice versa means the other way around. If my variable is decreased, the multiplying factor would be less than 1. If my variable has increased, my multiplying factor would be greater than 1. Correct? Just an inference here. So now you have to be, like I said, so well versed with this multiplying factor thing that within seconds you are able to figure out whatever percentage change is given, what is the multiplying factor. Also, if the multiplying factor is given, then what happened to my variable? That also you have to be very clear about. That also you have to understand so well that it's again within seconds you can get it. If I look into 1.2a, I should understand that my variable has increased by 20%. If I look at a 0.9a, I should understand my variable has decreased by 10%. This should come to you like within 5 seconds, right? There's a formula also to do the other way around. This was converting percentage increase or decrease into multiplying factor. Other is from multiplying factor, how do you convert into percentage increase or decrease? How do you do that? So what is my formula here? Simply multiplying factor is given, do multiplying factor minus 1 into 100. This will tell you what happened to the variable, right? This will tell you what change. This will tell you percentage change in the variable, right? The other way around. Here, there's one thing that you have to, understand. What is that? So if this value that comes, if it is positive, that means percentage increase. If it is negative, that means percentage decrease, right? Multiplying factors, because see, it comes from the same logic, right? If my multiplying factor is greater than 1, multiplying factor minus 1 would be positive, right? And if it is positive, that means percentage increase. So same thing we have discussed here. If it is less than 1, see this one, if it is less than 1, then multiplying factor minus 1 into 100 would be negative. If it is negative, percentage decrease in the variable, right? So this is an important thing that we've discussed here. I would suggest you go back and listen to it 2-3 times so that you are very clear, right? Both the things.